Hi, welcome to the last part of the our video lecture on the economics of internet partner finance, and we were basically looking to the FinNov article on Rwanda, where access to the healthcare and especially the healthcare based community based healthcare program was tested. Let's look to the results basically. We should basically look to this. Let's go down. Um, well, here you can see, and there are three models. In one of them, income groups are used. In other one, the second one, the wealth is used, and in the third one, the both wealth and income is used. Hopefully, that it was hoped that this would basically decrease the effect of female and male-headed households with the same income and wealth level. And in first two, these are used separately because it was thought that maybe they are correlated with each other anyway. Well, as you can see, wealth mainly increases the possibility of getting insurance. Although in the richest quintile, basically the income base increases. In the richest quintile, there is a slight decrease. In the wealth case, actually, there is no even you don't have even the decrease in the last quintile, basically. Well, looking to our actual variable, being a female-headed household, moment, is something that is decreasing. Well, here again, if you are if you're in this basically research, actually, if the coefficient is less than 1, that decreases the possibility of getting insurance. So this article is like the first article in that sense. Having a female-headed household decreases the possibility of a family or members of the family getting insurance. Being a woman by itself doesn't have any effect, but that living in a female-headed household has an effect. Well, living in a rural area, interestingly, has a very high effect on having the insurance. Note that we have already tested the income and wealth. So, from the same family with a similar income level in the rural area is more likely to get insurance, which means actually maybe in that sense actually the insurance is actually reaching its aim, but not in the sense of maybe income groups. Low income groups still have smaller chance to get the insurance. Children adult ratio has, well, in mostly no effect, maybe for the middle ratio, mostly no effect. Household size, in one of the regressions, as it increases the the chance of getting insurance. That's the one with income. The education level, people with lower education level, they are more likely to get this insurance. Maybe it is in order to get private insurance, the higher education level is useful to get private insurance, but people with low education level might not have that opportunity. Note that the people who have vocational education, they have a higher possibility of getting this insurance, and this is kind of basically this is an education mostly following the primary school, but it is not the traditional secondary education. Traditional people in traditional secondary education, they are more likely to go to universities, but vocational education directly teach people a craft, basically. So they are more likely. So here also maybe people with a little bit better education are more likely to get the insurance. Um, well, interestingly, the old people, old people are more likely to get insurance, and young people are less likely to get insurance compared with the smallest group, the children. And the group 30 and 40, they have just a similar probability to the 30-40 age group. Maybe these are the people with also children, so people with children might be also getting insurance with the people without children. And maybe the older people, they might have some, they might be get old because they have sufficient level of income also. In Rwanda, where health conditions are low, getting older might be correlated with them. With, uh, but actually, well, they are more likely to get insurance, which basically means that actually they are also within the group that needs the insurance. So the question here now becomes whether all of these numbers are related to the access to the healthcare. Because even without this insurance, maybe women have other ways to access to healthcare through private insurance. So this article has also tested basic whether women have access to healthcare, and here they have also taken into account. They have taken account the health insurance. They have also taken into account whether the people are sick. So among the sick people who has gone to, for example, they ask whether you have been sick in 2 weeks or not, and from the sick people who are more likely to visit the healthcare facilities, basically, is tested. Mutual health insurance, in that sense, is increasing the possibility of having access to healthcare. The Model 1, Model 2, and Model 3 are exactly the same. And basically, well, here you see as you increase the wealth, access to healthcare is improving. Income, the access to healthcare is improving. Interestingly enough, wealth doesn't have an effect on the healthcare access. Only income has an effect. Maybe wealth is something not accessible unless you have income, a sufficient income. It doesn't have an effect. I don't know. It's an interesting result. Living in a rural area, well, has only effect when you when you have wealth as a variable, but this effect is you might question it. Well, having a mutual health insurance certainly increases the possibility of having access to healthcare. Having other healthcare insurance, however, has a higher effect. It is more possible for them. Here, female-headed households, their access to healthcare becomes insignificant. So of course here we are taking into account whether they have health insurance or not. But at least when we have taken into account whether they have health insurance or not, women who have health insurance have the same likelihood to visit the healthcare facilities like the men. So we have other variables down, but let's talk about this result because this is maybe the most interesting one. And if you can do the rest if you are interested. This means these women are not shy, and they are not necessarily avoiding going to the healthcare facilities when they have insurance. But because their access to insurance is less, actually they might not end up in actual case, of course, when we are taking into account the access to the health insurance, which is a factor that is separated in this case. Women might be visiting those healthcare facilities actually less than men, but not because they are shy, not because they don't go to those healthcare facilities, and also the members of the female-headed households. But for some reason, they don't have the access to the health insurance in this case. So here, the thing that is preventing a woman to have access to insurance is not necessarily their inability to go through bureaucratic process, or let's say shyness which might prevent them to go to any public facility, basically. So the problem is, it seems to be more institutional or maybe social in this case. Um, so, and again, this means actually educating women is not maybe the solution, but maybe reorganizing the bureaucracy, the way the bureaucracy treats women, is one way of solving the problem, and also maybe the problem might be solved by giving women more opportunity to build connections with the man. So this is the last article, and I hope it has been interesting, and it makes you ask certain questions, and also here's some answers. These problems are complex, and as I said, mostly we want definite answers in this course, but potential answers and more definite questions. And this lecture was maybe one of the lectures where this rule was lived in more full sense. So, as a last thing, I should say, in our discussion this week, we look how working woman, the woman, when the woman works, that fact is affecting the family relations of the woman. So, well, in the first part, we have seen the family and the dynamics that are running in the family, and how housewives are basically the work of housewives are basically organized, and in what sense it is different from the regular work, and also what happens when the women are actually working outside of the family, within the family. And here we have kind of discussed all what we have seen in the previous part through one measured variable, which is intimate partner violence. And here we are, however, making the relation more general, and we look how working woman, the fact the woman works, affect the general family relations. And you don't need to focus, although you can do that, on the husband-wife relations, but you can also look to the parent-children relations, and maybe also, if you think how there is an effect, how the fact that woman works affects the relation between the father and children. Maybe, I don't know. And I'm children of a working mother, and for me, actually, the fact my mother works was certainly doesn't hurt my relation with my mother, and it was something great for me having a working mother. But what do you think on this? And what do you think on the effects? And you don't need to say necessarily positive and negative. Rather, you might also say how maybe the workload inside of the family changes, or the share of the resources in the family, the decision-making process. All so you can look it from the different aspects, basically. Or the decisions made on the children's education, or maybe there are some market sources that are taken from outside. So what you focus is pretty much dependent on you. So I look forward for your answers. So that's all for this lecture. I hope it was useful for you. And see you in the next lecture, which will be on the unpaid work, and whether or the way we can account that into our accountings that includes the paid work. So see you then, basically, and stay healthy, of course.